talk about how Thomas Tuchel, the Chelsea manager, how he likes to play three at the back, even though we know this is not three at the back. So don't be fooled by this strategy. And I don't usually recommend it unless you have the right players for it. So he plays one center back at Rudiger as a left back, the other center back who is Christensen as a main center back, and Aspilicueta the right back at his position. And then he has Reece James, who's another right back, as a wing back. So basically he's like on the right wing. He can go forward and defend as well, which is not always the right case. Remember, Reece James is not, he's a right back. Okay, that's his original position. And then he has one defensive midfield. He plays Kante, and then the other defensive midfield as Jorginho. Then he has maybe Alonso as the other. Alonso is the left back, right? But he uses him as the other wing back, so basically like left wing. So, and then he has left winger and another right winger. Sometimes he can play his left winger as a Mason Mount, or sometimes he can move him around and play Kai Havertz as a left wing, but he moves them around. So, and then he has a main striker. So he plays this position to try to confuse people. But the way he works is, these three at the back, he knows once the ball past the midfield, these three are in trouble. No question, because they are slow. Rudiger and Christensen are not the fastest defender. Okay, so he knows. So technically when you look at it, it's not three at the back, because every time there is like a counter attack, he makes sure these two defensive mid drop to help these three at the back. And remember, these other right wing and left wing also have to drop. So when you count totally, there's like 7 defenders technically, right? But he knows for sure this left and right wing, when the ball goes forward, they will go forward and they will be exposed at the back. So he doesn't want to expose these 3 at the back, and he has these 2 defensive midfield to cover once these guys go forward. But the only thing is, sometimes these players, everybody wants to score, they want to go forward. So all these guys can go forward, and these 3 at the back will be exposed. But one of the dangers I've been saying is, when you're trying to play this, remember Tuchel is doing this because he has too many good players sitting on the bench, and they will be unhappy if he doesn't play them. So he came up with playing 2 players, Aspilicueta and James, playing at the same position, having to create one to make it a wing back to satisfy those players. But the danger to it is, you can have all your 2, like Aspilicueta and James, starting the player. Both of them can get injured, and you wouldn't have any replacement for it. And that's what happened in the City game when James got injured and he didn't have any replacement as a right back, because he's playing both of them, and he decided to bring in Thiago Silva, who's a center back. You see, this is what the confusion it can cause when you're trying to play this position. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is one of the bad things about not to play this position unless you have the right players. So what I always recommend is, if you have to play 3 at the back necessarily, then make sure you only have maybe 1 center back who's very, very physical and fast, and then the left back and right back, right? That's what I recommend. But when you have 2 central defensive, like, you know, like the way he plays, he uses, Tuchel use all his center backs, Rudiger and Christensen. So technically he only has 1 left as a substitute, which is Thiago Silva, and he's not the fastest player even. So what if both of these center backs are injured? It can happen, and you only have 1. What are you going to do, right? So this is what I want you to think. you analyze the game when you're watching it, but in real life, don't be making these kind of mistakes. Don't play this position unless you have the right players for it. So I hope you like this video. Thank you for watching the Exceptional One channel.